Welcome to the edge, the end of fear, the start of everything that makes you a problem they never saw coming. This isn't a game. This isn't a moment for softness. This isn't the story where you wait for help or hope to be rescued. This is your reckoning, your crucible, your trial by fire and blood. Because the truth is this: the person who came for you, the one dragging destruction like a shadow behind them, they already tore through others before they got to you. They already spilled blood, already shattered bones, already burned names off the page of life like they were nothing but chalk in the rain. Those others, they didn't survive. They folded, they fell, they died. But you're not like them. This person, they thought you were next. They thought you were just another name on the list. Just another weak heartbeat waiting to be silenced. Just another body to be buried and forgotten. They didn't realize they'd arrived at a storm. They didn't realize that death walked in both directions. That you are the thing that fights back harder, smarter, meaner. They didn't realize the murder ends here. You're not one of the ones that go quietly. You don't bleed like the others did. You don't beg. You don't break. You've got something in you that they never had. Not just survival, but wrath. Not just instinct, but a war cry. You've got the kind of pain that doesn't make you weaker. It reforged you, hardened you, carved everything soft and innocent out of your soul, and replaced it with the kind of cold, calculated focus that makes monsters tremble. They didn't survive the murder, but you're going to make them regret ever walking into your story. This person came for you, but they're about to find TF out. You see, they don't understand that every scar you wear is a blueprint of resistance. Every failure you survived, that wasn't weakness. That was resistance training. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every time life threw you to the ground and tried to bury you under loss and chaos, that was preparation. They thought your silence was surrender, but it was focus. It was the calm before your storm. They were busy killing others. You were busy becoming something that can't be killed. This world is not fair, it's not soft, and it sure as hell doesn't reward the gentle. It crushes them. But you crawled out of the wreckage. You stitched your soul back together with barbed wire and broken glass. You turned your pain into precision. And now you know how to destroy someone who thinks they're a predator. They thought they were coming for prey. But what they found was apex. They didn't survive the murder. But you're not just surviving. You're going to hunt them back. You're going to outthink them, outbleed them, outlast them. When they come into your space, into your world, they're walking into your domain. And every inch of it is booby-trapped with rage, with strategy, with brutal, unrelenting vengeance. They thought this would be quick. They thought this would be easy. Now they're finding TF out, because your mind is a weapon, sharper than any knife they ever held. Your heart, it doesn't beat to stay alive. It pounds with the rhythm of a war drum. And your body, that's the last place they'll ever wish they stepped into. You are the battlefield. They took people out before you, yeah. They left pain behind them. Ghosts, screams, silence. They carved a legacy of violence. But legacies die, and you are the reaper. You see, when everyone else ran, you stayed. When everyone else crumbled, you rose. When everyone else let themselves be cut down, you turned the knife into a crown. You didn't just survive pain, you became it. You didn't just get through hell, you made a home in it. And now you know every corner of that darkness, you own it. They walk in blind, you walk in with a map of war. They're finding out, the hard way, the long way, the ugly way, that you're not just another casualty. You're not another line in their kill count. You're the reckoning, the one who fights dirty, who fights smart, who never stops. You're the last page in their story, not a victim, but a verdict. And when they see you standing there, not broken, not scared, not begging, but smiling, that's when they'll know they fucked up. That's when they'll realize you're the one they should have feared all along, because some people survive. You end it. This person murdered others before coming for you, but now they're choking on the mistake of ever underestimating you. Now they're bleeding from the inside out because they thought they were the villain in your story, but you're the storm they never saw coming. You're the reckoning they earned. You didn't come here to escape. You came here to end it. Others didn't survive the murder, but you made the murder wish it never came. You're what happens when survival turns into vengeance. You're what happens when death itself runs out of mercy. You're what happens when the hunted becomes the executioner. No one believed you had it in you. That's fine. You never needed belief. You needed blood. You needed a reason. You needed a name to carve into your revenge. Now you've got it. They came for you with blades. You met them with war. They came thinking you were prey. You became the predator's nightmare. Others didn't survive the murder, but you're the last thing they'll ever see. You're not the next victim. You're the final punishment. Let them come. Let them try. Because now they're finding out. So now, here we are. The battlefield isn't just physical. It's mental. It's emotional. It's spiritual. It's every part of your soul standing up with its fists clenched and eyes on fire. You think this is about fear? Nah. Fear is what they feel. Fear is what they carry like a knife they don't know how to use. But you're an alpha. You don't just confront fear, you feed off it. You chew it up, spit it out, and smile like a demon in the middle of the wreckage. You're not some soft echo of what came before. You're the first and the last voice in this fight. You're the one who rewrites the ending in blood and bone. While the world was sleeping, while the others were being hunted, you were building yourself in silence, grinding through pain, living in fire, becoming something unbreakable. The ones who didn't make it, they weren't weak, they just weren't alpha enough. They didn't have that primal kill switch that flips when the pressure gets heavy and the lights start to fade. But you do. You've got that monster in your chest that wakes up when it matters. You've got that voice in your head that doesn't flinch. It laughs when things get ugly. And now that same person, that killer, that destroyer who erased others without hesitation, has stepped into your path. And they're not finding fear. They're not finding surrender. They're not finding another easy target to wipe away. They're finding alpha energy, pure, untamed, relentless. They're finding someone who doesn't run, someone who hunts back. You weren't born to be average. You weren't made to blend in. You weren't put on this earth to watch others get taken out and just hope you're not next. You were born for this, for chaos, for conquest, for war. You're the type who doesn't wait for orders. You give them. You don't shrink in the face of danger. You drag danger into the light and break its spine. You don't just play the game. You reset the rules. And that person who thought they could come for you, they're learning, second by second, breath by broken breath, that you're not one of the others. You're the end of their spree. You're the alpha that kills the wolf. Let them swing. Let them shout. Let them bring everything they've got, because they already made one fatal mistake. They came for the wrong F-King alpha. The others died because they tried to survive. You're going to thrive in this. You're going to show them what real power feels like. You're going to drag them to the edge and let them look down and see that you own the fall. Because when an alpha fights, they don't fight to win, they fight to erase. And you're not just in it to win, you're in it to burn the memory of them from existence. This person murdered others before they got to you, but now they've found the bottom of your rage. Now they've found the heat behind your scars. Now they've found the grave they were digging for themselves. Because every moment you stood alone, every second you were overlooked, every breath you held in silence, every ounce of pain you swallowed, it was loading the weapon that you are. And now, you're pulling the trigger. They wanted a victim. They got an alpha. Others didn't survive the murder. But you are the extinction event. Because you know what separates the ones who didn't survive from you, Alpha. It wasn't skill. It wasn't luck. It wasn't who hit first. It was mindset. It was nerve. It was that steel-cold voice in your soul that whispers, "Not me. Not now. Not ever." That killer came in swinging, yeah. They came in confident, drunk on their wins, soaked in the silence of the people they already buried. But here's what they didn't count on. They didn't count on facing someone with no fear left to give. Someone who already died 1,000 deaths in life and came back hungrier every time. Someone who turns pain into fuel and failure into a weapon. They came for blood, and now they're choking on yours. No, they're choking on their own because you flipped the story. You flipped the whole damn world on its back. That killer? They're finding out that alpha doesn't mean you lead when it's easy. Alpha doesn't mean you talk loud or walk big. Alpha means you outlast storms. Alpha means you lead when no one's clapping. Alpha means you carry the weight that breaks others and smile under it. You don't panic. You plan. You don't react. You counterstrike. You don't run. You rise. And now they're seeing that. Every step they take closer to you, their breath tightens. Their instincts start screaming what their ego never could. This isn't like the others. This one fights back. This one knows who they are. And who are you? You are the answer to every scream that went unanswered. You are the retribution for every name they erased. You are the alpha storm that ends this game. You are the moment the predator meets the apex. Let's be real. Every alpha watching this, you've been underestimated. You've been played with, abandoned, doubted, talked down to. Some of you were left for dead. Emotionally, mentally, maybe even physically. And still, you're here. Still rising, still plotting, still sharpening your weapons in the dark, saying, "Let them come. I've got something for them." Because they never knew. They never knew what kind of monster they were creating by trying to break you. But now they know. Now they're finding out. You're not broken. You're built. Built by hell. Tempered in hate. Fueled by every damn time someone thought you couldn't survive. You're built different. Not by choice. By consequence. By fire. By scars that made you bulletproof. By battles that made you a tactician, a lion, a machine. And when you walk through that door, when you stand toe-to-toe with that killer who thought you'd crumble, who thought you'd beg, you look them dead in the eyes and smirk. Because that's the alpha code, isn't it? We don't flinch. We calculate. We don't plead. We press forward. We don't die quiet. We raise hell. This person murdered others before coming for you. But now, the hunter just stepped into the wrong jungle. And in your jungle, you make the rules. You set the traps. You dictate the ending. They didn't survive the murder, But you survive everything. Because when you're an alpha, you don't just survive, you make survival your sport. You make pain your currency. You turn war into art. This ain't about revenge. It's about justice. It's about balance. It's about making damn sure no one ever forgets who the hell you are. Not because of what you say, but because of what you do when the blade is at your throat and the blood's already running. You rise, you fight, you finish it. Because at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, when the bodies fall, when the air is heavy with silence, there's only one left standing, the alpha, you. So here's what they didn't calculate. They saw strength, but they didn't know it was sharpened through loss. They saw your silence, but they didn't realize it was forged in rage. They saw scars, but they thought those were signs of damage. They didn't realize your scars were your armor, a language only alphas understand. Every mark is proof you kept walking when the world tried to erase you. They thought you were in the dark. Nah, you own the darkness. You were born there. They thought you were like the rest, that you'd scream like the others, that you'd beg like the others, that you'd break like the others, but you weren't built like them. They were glass. You're iron. They were the firewood. You're the wildfire. Because when an alpha fights, they don't fight to feel strong. They fight because they know strength isn't a choice. It's survival. It's a standard. It's who you are when everything's gone. No backup, no cheers, no mercy. Just raw instinct and unshakable purpose. And you've got that glint in your eye, that madness, that calculation, that edge. You walk into rooms and people feel it before you speak. That quiet, unshakable tension, that pressure that makes weak men cough and real ones stand up straighter. Because alphas don't just exist, we dominate. We don't adapt to situations. We become the pressure. And right now, that person who thought they were the threat, they're standing in front of something they can't label, can't predict, can't manipulate, can't defeat. Because you don't move like the others. You move with intent. You move with a storm in your lungs and a graveyard in your rear view. You don't run anymore, you chase. You don't react anymore, you initiate. You don't wait for death. You bring it to their doorstep and let them taste what fear feels like when it finally looks back. They're finding out that you weren't just another checkpoint in their spree. You're the end of it. The moment they took that first step toward you, the moment they wrote your name in red, they signed their own verdict. And now that verdict's walking toward them with blood in its eyes and no hesitation in its hands. That's you, the alpha they never saw coming. Because an alpha doesn't just survive the hit. An alpha swings back harder. They didn't survive the murder. You became the executioner. And let's not sugarcoat this life. It was never meant to be fair. It was built to break you. It was built to test you, trap you, torment you, and bury you under pressure most people couldn't breathe through. And still, here you are, not crawling, not crying, not waiting, thriving. And you know what else? This whole time, you thought no one noticed, that no one saw the war inside you, the discipline, the pain you carried without complaint, the enemies you held off with willpower alone. But now they see, and they're terrified, not of your size, not of your voice, not even of your rage. They're terrified because they know, deep down, you won't stop. They know once you're in motion, once your engine's lit, once your purpose is dialed in, it's over. You will finish what they started. You will return what they gave. You will multiply the pain and deliver it back with interest. Because this is more than survival now. This is domination. You're not here to escape the killer. You're here to rewrite the story. Others died in silence. You'll finish this in thunder, because every alpha listening knows this truth. We don't follow trails, we leave them in ashes. We don't inherit peace, we build it on the bones of our enemies. We don't get lucky, we get dangerous. And you're not just one of us, you're the one. The last stand, the last swing, the last name they'll ever curse in terror. They came for you like they came for the rest, but now they're finding out that they should have never stepped into your war. So now here we are. The dust has settled, the air is thick with the scent of war, blood, fire, and the raw electricity of something ancient finally awakening. You're not standing in the aftermath. No, you are the aftermath. You're the final moment before silence, the echo that won't die, the end of everything that came for you. That person, that killer, that executioner, that shadow that stalked others and left them in pieces. They walked in with a history of violence, a past paved in murder, a name written in other people's blood. They thought they'd add you to the list, thought they'd come in, take what they wanted, and walk away again. But they didn't know they'd just stepped into the territory of a different breed. They didn't know they'd made the worst mistake of their life. They touched an alpha. They threatened an alpha. They awakened an alpha. And now they've seen it. That look in your eye, that stillness in your stance, that calm in your voice, the kind of calm that only comes from someone who's already decided how this ends. You're not arguing. You're not negotiating. You're not praying. You're finishing it. Because you've bled before, and you didn't die. You've been betrayed, and you didn't break. You've been forgotten, overlooked, pushed to the edge, and all it did was give you a better view of who needed to be taken out first. They murdered others before they came for you, but you were never meant to be part of the list. You are the red line. You are the correction. You are the war they thought they'd never have to fight. And now, Alpha, they're finding out that your silence was a strategy, that your scars were warnings, that your calm was coiled rage waiting to be unleashed with surgical brutality. You don't just win, you erase the threat from existence. You burn down the memory of their name. You leave nothing standing but the echo of your footsteps as you walk away from the battlefield you just claimed. This is what it means to be Alpha, not just to fight, not just to survive, but to become the force of nature that other monsters fear. You don't move in packs, you don't follow crowds, you don't seek applause, you don't beg for peace. You make your own rules, you demand respect, you generate fear, you live in extremes, and you thrive there. The world tried to bury you, but you grew claws in the dirt. They tried to drown you, but you learned to breathe underwater. They tried to kill you, but they made the fatal mistake of leaving you alive long enough to rise. And now you stand with power, not potential, with precision, not emotion, with vengeance, not hesitation. You're not what they expected, you're what they feared existed. Because when a true alpha rises, everything that came for them either bows or burns. Others didn't survive the murder, but you made the murder fear you. You didn't just stop them, you ended the pattern. You didn't just survive, you changed the game. And to anyone out there watching, listening, breathing this in, if you're still here, if you're still standing, if you still have fire in your soul and hate in your chest and scars you've never explained, then you're one of us. You're the Alpha this world tried to smother. You're the one who took every knife in the back and used it to carve a throne. You're the one who outlasted the storm, not because you were lucky, but because you are the storm. So don't just walk away from this message. Carry it. Let it move through your blood like adrenaline. Let it wrap around your fists like barbed wire. Let it harden your will until nothing can touch you without consequence. Because the next time something comes for you, next time the killer circles back, next time fate tests your name again, you won't flinch. You won't hesitate. You won't even blink. You'll just say, they didn't survive the murder. But me? They're about to find out. Again. And this time, you're not leaving anything behind.